Coming up, a Sad Styles production. Get into it.
Andrew, this weekend, big weekend for movies.
Oh yeah,
or for a movie.
Second week of Cocaine Bear,
and what a weekend it's been.
Oh boy,
it's felt like 3 weeks.
Yes, it is. We should open a bar and buy a boat.
No, Creed is out.
Oh yes, Creed 3. Yes,
Creed 3. I'm pretty pumped for it. I know you're a huge Creed fan as well.
Creed,
at least the first one, maybe not as much the second one.
I appreciate the second one.
Okay, good. Yeah. That makes one of us. What I'm thinking, we can do a game tie-in for this one. A pretty easy one. A game we talk about all the time on the podcast, and we've never been able to do it yet. But maybe today's the day.
I think that's a great idea. We have a long list of games. So what do you have in mind?
Well, I'm thinking like, okay, picture this.
Yeah.
Creed's coming out. They enter the ring. We enter the Animus, and we go way back to ancient Rome. Well, it's Assassin's Creed.
I got that with Animus. Yeah. Why would we play Assassin's Creed? Oh, Assassin's Creed.
You just said it.
Oh boy. Yeah, because you're really confused.
I think that by the end of Creed 3, Michael B. Jordan is going to Michael B. dead.
How so?
He's gonna
in the boxing ring.
Yeah. He will be killed in the boxing ring.
Okay,
but not by his opponent.
No,
someone is gonna leap from the rafters, missing a finger.
Yeah.
Blade in wrist.
Yeah.
Not hand, because I don't hold those.
No.
And stick in his neck.
Yeah. In front of thousands of people.
And then get away in the crowd.
Yeah.
Because he's gonna put a boxing robe on and walk right out of the arena.
Well, you would know it with the hood. Yeah.
With the hood.
See, that'd be pretty good.
It kind of works.
So which Assassin's Creed are we playing?
Okay, this great one that came out. It had a weird subtitle to it, so I'm not sure how it really fits in.
Okay.
But we're going to take a look at Fight Night Round 3 on the Xbox 360 this week on the Retrograde Podcast.
That's not an Assassin's Creed game.
I beg to differ.
And welcome to the Retrograde,
the video game podcast where this week we finally get to beat the shit out of each other.
My name's Andrew Baskin. With me, as always, is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself.
Mikey Sugar Aaronworth.
Sugar Aaronworth.
I feel like every boxer's nickname is Sugar at some point in their career.
You have to have a Sugar.
Yeah.
Once a card, it's like it's mandated.
It is mandated.
You better. Who's your Sugar?
Who's your Sugar? Daddy's my Sugar.
The boxer comes and kisses the promoter on the cheek.
Andrew, why are we talking about boxing today?
Oh, we're talking about boxing because the next adventure in the Rocky cinematic universe, Creed 3, is coming out this weekend. Yes.
And here I was, freaking idiot as I always am, freaking dumb. Nerd alert, they said. Freaking loser without
get to your point.
Any friends, they all said. RCU, I was thinking it was the remote control car universe.
Oh, yeah.
I was fucking pumped.
Yeah.
I didn't even know Michael B. Jordan was into those things.
Honestly, he's got enough money. He could be into whatever he wants now.
That's true.
Michael B. into whatever he wants.
Michael B. into it. Is there a reason? Like, I mean, we all know why he's not going by Michael Jordan.
Oh, why is that?
Is there, like, do you think he tried to go as Michael Jordan for a while as an actor, and they're like, this ain't gonna work?
I, honest to God, think it's union rules.
I've heard something like that.
You can't have the same name as somebody else in the union. So you have a lot of people that change spellings of names or add
Tell that to George Bush, though.
The thought that the reason Michael Jordan might be in the union just because of Space Jam is so funny to me.
Another alumni of the podcast, alumnist of the podcast.
Yeah, Space Jam. Yeah, we've done so many Michael Jordans here.
We have done so many Michael Jordans.
We've done some basketball games too.
And we're the greatest of all time, baby.
Yeah, we really are.
We are the two greatest video game journalists that you've never heard of. And this week, we're going to be doing a classic look back at Fight Night Round 3, a game that sticks very near and dear to my heart. We're going to do something we haven't done in a little while, Andrew.
Yeah.
It's basically going to be a look back at the game. We're going to talk about our memories of this game, Fight Night Round 3. We're going to rate and review the game as we remember it, back when we used to play it, all the way back in 2006. Then we're going to come back. We're going to play the game, show you some of that gameplay over on YouTube if you want to go catch it over there.
Yep.
Come back and rate and review the game as it holds up in the modern day against the likes of modern games. Once again, both of them actually out of 4 bits. I haven't said that in a while.
No, you haven't.
I'm a little rusty.
You're winded.
I'm Sugar Ray Rusty.
Great. Doesn't show. We have been wanting to play this game for such a long time.
Yes.
This is one of the games that we had like circled going like, oh, that'd be fun.
Yes.
That'd be fun to play on the podcast.
Yes.
Fight Night, especially boxing the way it is, it's in quite the turmoil, I think, or it's always
depends on who you ask, man.
Uneasy
Depends
standing.
on who you ask. Actually, just recently, about a week and a half ago, the greatest boxer currently,
I would say so.
fought the second greatest boxer currently. It must be the case because they're getting so much attention. Jake Paul and Tommy Fury.
Yeah.
They're getting so much attention. They must be the best boxers in the
Do you
game.
think they're getting a lot of attention? I actually don't. I think this thing is diminishing, which I think is bad for boxing, by the way. I think Jake Paul being very popular is good for boxing.
You and I have had this conversation, and excuse us as we have this kind of side commentary. We'll get to video games in a second.
Well, it's kind of a lateral conversation. It's about boxing.
It is a little bit, and we're talking about Fight Night. And actually, this is no joke. Fight Night, similar to how I really got into hockey as a result of really getting into the NHL franchise.
Right.
Fight Night is the game that really got me into boxing.
Okay.
Prior to that, it was basically like hearing my my grandpa talk about it. My Ukrainian grandpa, you're welcome. He used to talk about.
Are you looking for sympathy? Is that what that was?
Oh, okay. Well, my sister. Okay, I gotta remember the thread of things that I need to say. But
my grandfather left Ukraine 80 years ago, and I want some fucking apologies.
Well, listen, my sister, she's in the bar industry, and she was entering a drink making competition.
Sure.
And she made a drink, and it was based off of, she called it Baba's breakfast because Baba is Ukrainian. You're welcome, grandma. And she used to make like rye bread and grapefruit. So she tried to have the scents and smells. It was a very pretentious outing.
Grapefruit, that famous fruit that grows in Ukraine.
Well, no, now they became farmers in Canada. You're welcome.
Because cities don't run without farmers.
Cities don't run without farmers.
These colors don't run.
Those colors don't run. Yeah, exactly. So she's making the drink, and she's kind of explaining to the judges what it's all about. And I was sitting there watching her at the competition, and she says, I'm calling this one Baba's Breakfast. It's named after my Baba, who is my grandma, who is from Ukraine. And I look at the judges, and they all look at each other and they nod. They go, wow. Like almost wow.
What a story.
What a story. And she won the competition. I was dead serious.
My Baba, who's serving in the front lines right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the front lines, 6 feet under. Front lines between heaven and hell.
93 with a bulletproof vest, a helmet, machine gun.
She actually, when Vladimir Klitschko got away from the front lines, he tagged out Lomachenko. Lomachenko tagged back in my Baba. It was great. I like this because
somehow got better.
Very much better. They all had breakfast featuring grapefruits.
You guys eat more grapefruits. Pick them off the trees.
So apart from my Ukrainian grandpa, you're welcome. Talking about boxing, it was Greatest Heavyweights, which was a game that we did on this podcast. I think 2 years ago, around December of 2021 or something like that. We did that on the podcast. That was the first game I played on the Genesis that really got me into boxing. Okay. But Fight Night, with its extended roster, some legends, and then some current fighters as well, and we'll get into the who made the cut in this one as well, was kind of what got me into boxing. So depending on who you ask with regards to the Logan Paul, Jake Paul thing,
right?
Boxing might not be in a terrible state right now. It might be in a good one, but to your point, you think that Jake Paul going away or being in the sport and being big in the sport is not necessarily a bad thing for it.
Yes, that is how I feel.
And I know I just said that I got into it based on video games, but I kind of consider myself like a boxing purist in the sense that like I appreciate the 3D models of these boxers. No, I think that I like good fights. I don't like the showmanship of it quite as much. I just like a solid fight. And I think that a lot of people now come into boxing because I think, to your point, what you were going to say, the reason why I said I got in via video games and eventually became a big fan is you're saying, well, maybe people who would never otherwise watch boxing are now going to get into it as a result of Jake Paul and maybe will then develop into better fans. My argument against that is if you're currently a fan of Jake Paul, you're probably not a great person. And I don't think you have it in you.
Ooh, that's a large selection of people that you are grouping together.
I doubt they listen to this podcast.
If you're a huge fan of Jake Paul and you are incensed by what Mikey just said, let us know at Retrograde Mikey. No, I think exposure to a sport cannot be a bad thing at the end of the day. And I think the biggest thing that boxing has getting in its way, and what Fight Night and games like this were able to relive, is the idea that you don't get big fights anymore. Yes. You really don't. You don't get two of the best fighters in the world fighting anymore. Yeah. People are so protective of their records and things like that. So in that way, in the 80s, thanks to your Gigi and people like that,
You're welcome.
you got to watch top 5 boxers fight all the time together.
Yes.
4 would fight 3, 5 would fight 2. Like they would just go back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah.
And that was good for the sport. Now we just see people don't like, Davis Garcia is like the next big fight April 15th. And, it's like, it's a pretty good fight.
Yeah.
But the idea that it is like shaking the world is only showing that we just do not get good fights anymore.
Yes, no, 100%. We need to have more of them. Boxing is not in the best state currently, except for when the big boys fight.
Yes.
The heavyweight division in particular.
Right.
There are a lot of people circling around one another, and it could be a lot better, and it maybe isn't as likely as it could have been to get some of those unification fights in, which is a little bit of a shame. The one thing I'll say before we move on from boxing to talk a little bit about a video game update is the thing that surprises me, I think, most about a game like Fight Night is for something like the NHL or NFL games, Madden or NHL or any of the major league sports games, there's one union, a players union or an association where you can go to get the likenesses of all the players. In boxing, it kind of amazes me that we have a roster in Fight Night of 27 people. You would have had to individually negotiate most of those contracts. Granted, some of them are probably under the same promoters, but still, it is kind of amazing that they had such a large number of fighters in this game when, as you said, it's really hard to get fighters to agree to anything. Because
I
any
completely
contract you sign is like a slap in the face to the other if you have even a penny more.
So you know what? We're playing the physical copy from the Xbox 360. I think we're doing that because we couldn't find an online copy. And I bet you it's because licenses have just passed. It's kind of like trying to watch old SNL episodes and there's no music ever left in them.
Yes.
Because they just can't license it anymore.
Right. Or one of the most interesting ones, Metal Gear Solid 4, and I think maybe Snake Eater as well. So 3. Those games you can't play digitally because they have like archival stock footage from old military movies and stuff like that, and no one really has the rights to it. And they can't, like they're not allowing them to reproduce the game anymore because of that. In my mind, I'm just like, then throw in look, Mickey Mouse is going to be public domain soon. Yes. Just throw in Steamboat Willie or something like that.
I know. Yeah. No, that's a good idea. Popeyes or something like that.
Yeah.
I know. That is
Louisiana
so odd.
proud, baby.
What, Popeyes?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're talking about the food chain?
What were you talking about?
Remember this the other week that we talked about the Popeyes chicken sandwich and how it caused a riot in the United States? You're like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
No idea.
Have you tried it yet?
Popeyes?
Yeah.
No.
Wow. Okay.
I'd love to.
Fastest growing chain.
Is it really?
Oh, there's ones everywhere.
Church's Chicken is now becoming big in Toronto.
Yeah, I think we're getting our first locations.
I think we have like 3 of them currently.
Okay. So we're getting there's 3 of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. Andrew,
I like how you're gonna blow past it like Popeyes. No. It's Church's Chicken.
Church's Chicken.
I'm not gonna try. I have pride. I'm not gonna try for a third time.
Did you see the new movie with Colin Farrell, Banshees of Church's Chicken? Banshees of Church's Chicken?
I did not see Banshees of Church's Chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I did not see. It was a very good movie. Thank you very much. Are we gonna have?
You're welcome.
Yeah. Did you make it? Oh, I thought
my
you made
Gigi
it. I was thinking,
my Gigi did.
Thank you for your service, Gigi. It's amazing he's able to do that while being so dead.
It's very dead.
It's like so impressive.
He died early. I mean, not like
in the morning
in my life. Okay. In my life, yeah, very late at night. I was like, "Hey, SNL's about to start. You mind croaking it?" And he's like, "No stroking." I'm like, "Hey, great, Gigi, you're hearing."
Thank you for your service.
And I want to be hearing about what you've been doing in this gaming world.
Yes.
Andrew. What's catch me up? It's been, we're just on the other side of February.
Yes,
the scariest month of all.
Oh God, we dated so much. What a way to end.
We much like Linda Tarr.
Yeah, Lydia Tarr.
Well, no.
Oh yeah, that was good. Okay, now you're just ruining the fucking. So there's a movie called Tar out. It didn't get a lot of box office, so I imagine if you watch at home, it's with Cate Blanchett. She plays an orchestra conductor.
Yes,
and composer, I guess.
And we like Lydia Tarr. Last week contributed to someone's suicide.
Oh Jesus Christ! I hope everyone's seen this movie.
It's fine.
I was gonna say, I thought you're like, oh, it's been a while and everyone knows. It's like Endgame the week after. Like everyone's seen it.
Yeah.
Doki Doki Literature Club was one hell of a way to end a dating simulator.
Yes.
It has stayed with me, and the number of people that I know will never play it. And I'm like, let me just tell you what happens, because I almost have to speak it out loud like therapy.
I felt like I've had a massive secret for the past few weeks because I want some people in my life who don't play video games to play this game because you can. It's like a visual novel. It doesn't require any It's like, hey, oh, by the way, Andrew, we got into this argument about what is a video game and what is not. The week prior, you explicitly called KFC, I Love You, Colonel Sanders, a video game.
Yeah, did I?
Yes.
Wow. You know what the best thing a human being could do? Show growth and learn from their mistakes. And I'm telling you, yeah. I want people to play that game.
I do. I really do.
And you know what? I totally understand. And I almost appreciate you listeners at home that have been saying, on Twitter especially, that we need to play this game. Thank you. You were completely right. We should listen to you. 100%. That was the right call. And I'm really glad we played that game.
Yeah.
So after I've recovered from the therapy of watching all my closest crushes die, there was you know what I was thinking about? It's very much like the movie Virgin Suicides.
Oh man, yes.
Yeah, where you're like, oh God, why? What's happening?
And you don't know that it's going to take those turns.
Totally.
Prior to the sound of flesh hitting gridiron fence.
Yes, that's the first one. Yeah, I know. That's the one that sticks out in my brain too. Okay, so games I've been playing. Okay, I don't even need to say it. Fortnite, obviously.
Nice.
If I've got 20 minutes, I play Fortnite. But after I finished Far Cry 5, I'm now playing Far Cry 6.
Okay. You are. You picked it up.
Yes.
Because you were saying you weren't sure if you were going to.
I know. I thought about that, and then I thought, oh God, I'm just wasting my fucking time with Fortnite, which is always such a funny thing. I'm wasting my time. Let's direct it towards another game.
Yes.
And then,
yeah.
But at least I feel like I'm doing something. So this is the one with Giancarlo Esposito. And this is about a Cuba-like country that is under a dictator, and there are guerrilla warriors that are trying to liberate the country. So it's a really interesting... What's wrong?
Like King Kong?
Oh, gorilla. No. Gorilla like...
because you said gorilla.
Yeah. Gorilla. There's a U in there somewhere. I don't know how to spell it.
Nope. This is not
monkey-
Canadian spelling. This is not Canadian spelling.
Yeah, we put U's in things.
Yeah.
Surprising
So
places.
you're thinking it's in Canada, we would spell it Gourilla.
Probably L-L-E-A-U-X or something like
that.
Yes.
Gorilla.
Bon temps roulé.
So you're killing monkeys.
So I'm playing this and it's like, it is good. It is essentially the same thing, except all the shooting and the violence makes a lot more sense than Inset Montana.
Yes.
Where you are the CIA and you're like, why is there not backup for 2 months?
Yeah.
This one makes a lot more sense because the world is like, I do not care. And you're like, oh, that's sad. Like your GG, thank you for your service. You know,
you're welcome.
A war happening in the world and everyone's like, eh.
Yeah.
But I thought you saluted there. So you were adjusting your hair. So in the way, it's the same thing. You are on a small island. You're getting to a bigger island, and those big islands have little bosses that are covering areas very similar to
Andrew. You're playing Donkey Kong.
No, I am not playing Donkey Kong. There is nothing related to monkeys.
Okay. This may be just, we need to rewind a bit because you're the one who said gorillas, little islands, and then you also said that you had a mine track and you'd have to jump in barrels.
I didn't say the mine track thing, or I didn't say anything about barrels. No, actually, there's a lot of gasoline barrels in this.
Right,
it's insane.
Yeah. And the mine cart.
Nothing about mine carts.
Okay, but you were the one who said that.
I did not say that. No.
You sure?
I'm fairly sure, because I'm talking about a different game. I'm talking about Far Cry 6. So the other one too that I think is really cool is that there's a lot more resourcing, and like that makes more sense in the story. Like old cars, like Cuba has been shut off by an embargo,
and letters floating in the sky.
There's nothing. No.
You said resources. I'm thinking bananas because it's the jungle. And
once again, different game entirely.
Okay,
nothing to do with monkeys.
Just tell me this, and I'll back off.
Okay, thank you.
Can you or can you not at any point in this game control an ostrich?
No.
A rhino?
No.
A swordfish?
No. I'm afraid you're going to get to an animal I definitely can't control. An alligator? No, he's the villain, I guess.
Okay, King K. Rool is in the game.
No, he's not. His name is Guapo. He is a alligator that I can control to attack people.
Oh, amazing.
And so I give him little instructions. I'm like, get that guy. And he's like, all right. He's wearing a shirt too, which is fantastic.
Amazing.
And then he eats that guy and stuff. Actually, what I have found though is that while I remember Far Cry 5, I did it a couple weeks ago, being very, gun violence or whatever based. It's a lot of shooting. This one seems
coconuts and bananas and barrels.
A lot of hijinks.
I'll stop.
Whereas this one, it feels more war based stuff.
Oh, I thought you were going to say less.
I also get that at this time I'm facing a militia. I am the underdog, whereas it's kind of the opposite, number 5, where I'm taking on a cult who is like less trained.
Sure.
This one I'm facing people that are more trained.
Right.
And I've died a way more amount, and I'm only like 10% into the game.
So that kind of fascinates me as a concept when you're talking about franchises that a lot of people play. because it seems like with each subsequent game, they do get harder because so much of the player base is transferring from Far Cry 5 to Far Cry 6, maybe from Far Cry 4 to 5, 3 to 4. So their skill set and their knowledge of the game tends to carry over to the next one.
Yes.
Do you get the sense that with this game, they were kind of accounting for that?
I definitely do, because they've changed all the guns. They've changed all, like, there's huge elements of the game that they changed. So you're not comfortable with doing the same thing. Also, the upgrading system is entirely different. So there are huge parts of where I got to this level and I kept dying and I'm like, am I not supposed to be at this level?
Right.
Like, what is happening here?
Right.
I don't have anything to kill a tank, and this tank keeps getting called in. And I'm like, it's just picking me off. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And so I had to look it up, and there's like stuff that you have to do. But
there is stuff. Okay.
Yeah, there is stuff. It's not like there's that tank. Game over.
They say, you're going to die to this 20, 30 times. What you're going to want to do is turn the game off.
So it's been a lot of fun. I'll play it. I'll probably beat it in due time. But I will say, I also have pre-ordered MLB The Show.
Okay, nice.
It's one of the true sports games that I genuinely look forward to.
Do you get it every year, the show?
Yeah, I've gotten it every year since I've had a PlayStation.
Okay.
Because it's exclusive still to PlayStation.
Well, it's also, no, it was on the Nintendo Switch last year.
Was it really?
Big change, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I'll play it on Switch too.
Right, because you got the Switch.
You have a Switch.
Fantastic.
Yes, I do.
That's good. So compared to Far Cry 5, because you're playing 6 right now, right? I get the numbers all mixed up. I'm dyslexic. You're welcome. Do you find it better or worse so far, both story and gameplay wise?
I'd say story worse. I really like the story of number 5. And I think that's nothing to do with like Giancarlo Esposito or like the story that they're telling. It's just the cult that is like isolated from society is a very alluring one.
Yeah.
It's why people like cults and why people fall into cults. So I found that is just more naturally attractive to me, where I'm like, I want to hear more about this crazy stuff. Whereas this, he's like, oh yeah, I'm evil dictator. You're like, nah, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
Except the kid's now in it. Like it's in every poster. It's Giancarlo Esposito.
Yes.
Esposito, that very, very scary omen looking child.
Yeah.
I'm only warming up to this storyline with the kid. So I don't know. He keeps popping out. I'm like, that is a creepy ass kid. Am I gonna kill that kid? Kind of want to.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So when we talked about Far Cry 5 a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago at this point.
Yeah.
Because we kind of took a break from talking about ancillary games. We were talking about the game, the dating games. I recommended, hey, if you're a little tired of Far Cry 6, but you're in the mood for something first-person shooter RPG-esque, why not give Cyberpunk a try now?
Oh, yeah.
I took my own advice, and I've been playing Cyberpunk.
It's the first time you've ever done that, eh?
Yeah, I typically don't. I kept telling myself, don't unlock the door. Don't let Andrew into your place. You're gonna start. He's gonna gaslight you. He's going to talk about Donkey Kong and then tell you he's not talking about Donkey Kong. He does it every week.
It's going to be great when I show you Far Cry 6 and you're like, okay, that is Donkey Kong. And I'm like, Mikey, I swear to Christ, man, you're probably driving me crazy.
No, so I've been playing Cyberpunk. I'm relatively early on into it. It's a slow start to a game. Okay. I'm just realizing, man, I hope some of our listeners can relate to this. The older I get, the harder it is for me to start new games and learn the mechanics. I feel like I'm speaking a different language than this 100%. Game at some times. It's like I'm seeing everything on screen. I see all the different perks and body upgrades and this and that. This is the same group, CD Projekt Red, the same development company that made The Witcher.
The Witcher, yeah.
So they're no stranger to like...
Who's into Fortnite right now?
Yes.
Yes.
Geralt of Rivia.
Right.
Witcher.
Geralt. What a hilarious name.
I hear Geralt and I think that guy slays demons. For sure that guy slays demons. He does too.
You know, it's funny. That's how I feel about people that are able to get into new fantasy franchises, especially books.
Yeah.
Is because like I think I'll just stick to the ones I know and I'm good with that because it doesn't seem insane to me.
Yeah.
But if somebody's like, yeah, I'm gonna see if I like this one. And it's like, this is the Glooby Gloop and he's from this realm and this is this guy. And that's
okay, I'm into it.
And you're like,
you're talking about Donkey Kong again?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I'm so impressed by that.
I am too. And it is one of the, like, physically, I feel my age after a night of drinking way more now than I did in the past. Recovery from exercise a little bit, but not nearly as much. I'm a little bit more tired. Food. Honestly, I think the most I feel my age is when I try to play a new video game. Like, it's the most apparent to me that skill, that neuroplasticity, that possibility of learning new mechanics and systems, just taking it in. is just gone for me. Like I am struggling so hard just learning what I'm supposed to be putting points into. Now before I start video games, do you ever do this? Do you look up YouTube videos of like 10 things I should know before starting this new game?
Wow,
do you ever
no, I don't,
like
but I should.
It feels cheap in the beginning because and spoilery or something like that, but man, it is such a treat to just have that, because also we used to read instruction books. We don't do that anymore. It's just a great way to familiarize yourself with what you don't yet know you need to familiarize yourself with. Yeah.
So how's Cyberpunk going?
It's cool. It's very sexy. It is.
What's your genitalia look like?
It is. Where my TV is, and it's a pretty decent sized TV, you can see it from the street. And when I was
big TV, so you have a small genitalia?
Yeah, and you should see the size of my truck, Andrew.
Nuts on it.
I used penis number 2, which is the uncut big one.
Is the uncut big one?
Or sorry, is the cut big one.
Cut big one. Wow, you could be circumcised or not in this?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does that ever come into the story at all?
Poor choice of words there, Andrew. I hope it does. I really hope it does.
Does this ever squirt itself into the story at all? Does this ever engorge itself into the story?
Insert itself into the story.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
There isn't as much nudity, but what I find most intriguing.
Yeah.
What I find most disappointing is the lack of nudity. What I find most intriguing about this game is its vision of the future. And I think the one thing it gets wrong is that it thinks it's going to take until 2077 for us to get there. Just like the very blatantly sexual advertisements, the in your face, the loud, all this stuff. It's like, I love the Cyberpunk aesthetic, not as something I want to live in, and not Cyberpunk is in Cyberpunk 2077. I just mean from a literary standpoint, the Cyberpunk aesthetic is something I've always really liked.
Okay.
And to be able to live in that world, I'm really liking it. I'm still at that early moment in the game where I'm pushing against it because my mind is like, new things, don't want it. Get out of here.
Yeah.
I spent like literally an hour of gaming time yesterday, which was the hour that I had to play the game, reading through all of the perks and upgrades just to get a sense of the type of character that I wanted to make. And that's just the kind of thing you have to do, I guess, to commit yourself in an RPG. Those things have never really interested me as much, but I'm hoping when you finish with Far Cry 6, you might still be on that kick of like a first-person RPG and maybe give it a shot.
It's my favorite kind of game, so like I definitely think I will. The steampunk aesthetic, though, that's so funny because when I
Not steampunk, cyberpunk.
Oh, I was thinking steampunk. I was just thinking about goggles. I was like,
I'm sure you can wear goggles.
So much goggles
because the steam's going to get in your eye, Andrew.
Solid counterpoint. don't want steam in your eyes.
Second point, they look sick.
Yeah. Put a couple on top of your head. I've never seen them worn on their eyes. It's always like to keep their hair back or some of that. And I'm like, you know what? Works for me.
It does. A revolver that's made of leather and wood.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Everything's practical.
Also, I think most guns are made of leather and wood. Now that I think about it.
Wait a second. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. There's some metal in there.
No, wait. Leather and wood. They're made of metal.
Guns but like the handles and the holsters and stuff are leather.
Yeah, so the non-gun functioning parts.
I think the holster's a very important part of the gun. Very important, because when you run out of bullets and you've already thrown your gun at the enemy, you got to throw something.
Got to throw your holster.
Not the holster because it's gorgeous leather.
in every action movie, when somebody throws a gun and hits
there's a reaction movie.
I said action movie.
I know. You said in every action movie, there's a reaction movie.
Well, yeah, that is also that's Michael Bay's theory of constant motion. Is it when somebody throws a gun because they're out of bullets and it hits somebody in the face?
Love it.
Always good. Always like, fuck yeah. Broke a guy's nose with a piece of metal.
Yes, exactly.
And sorry, leather and wood.
Right. Thank you very much.
No
Thank
problem.
you very much. Look, that's it kind of in terms of gaming for me. I've been dabbling in the cyberpunk way of things. I tried Persona. I have not given it enough of a shot to really speak to it. I'm hoping to get into that a little bit more, but man, talk about a barrier to entry. That game is boring.
Is it Persona?
Yeah, it's like the Lydia Tarr simulator. Because you kill yourself.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, let's kill ourselves slowly, one punch at a time.
I'd love to. So we haven't talked about video games in a long time.
Yeah.
So Elder Scrolls? Sorry, Elder Scrolls. Jesus Christ, Andrew. Elden Ring?
Elden Ring. Did you give it a shot?
No, not in a million years. You finished that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How would you think of the ending?
the ending of Elden Ring. I feel like you're setting me up for failure here.
I'm just asking my friend a question of what he thought about his favorite franchise of all time and how the latest game ended.
Story-wise?
Sure, pick one.
The story was...
This doesn't give me a lot of faith that you finished this game.
I did finish the game. I did finish the game.
Are you lying to everybody?
The end of the game is basically a boss rush. There's like 4 bosses in a row. The end of the game, what could, if you beat them all in one go, what could take you 15, 20 minutes, took me like 2-3 hours just to get all the bosses done. It's very FromSoft. No real complaints there. They're except for the fact that the first and possibly only 2-phase boss fight, which I hate in video games, is the final boss of the game.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It sucks. The first part of it is great. The second part fucking sucks. And then the ending, it largely depends on the path that you take. Ending itself is okay.
Okay.
It was all right.
All right.
I
just wanted to check
the game.
in.
And that's not based on like me looking up YouTube videos of the ending. I don't know why you even imply that.
I didn't think you would. You're an honest boy.
I actually spent a solid like 2 hours talking about my impressions of Elden Ring, including the ending on the Pixelated Thoughts podcast, which is out there. That was a ton of fun. So if you want to hear my unbridled opinion on the game, you can go out and check that out as well.
I will.
Yeah,
I will. I can't wait to hear what you thought about that game. Yes, but let's get to boxing.
Let's
get to punching each other in the head.
Let's punch each other in the head, Andrew. CT. Yes, let's do it.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Tell the truth about your opinion of this game.
What is the first thing you think about when you think about the Fight Night franchise?
Oh, man. The franchise. Okay. Let's take it back. First thing I think is Fight Night Round 3, because it was my first entry into the franchise. Second thing I think. So when you ask me what is Fight Night, to me it's Fight Night Round 3. Second thing I think about, weirdly, Roy Jones Jr.
Interesting.
And I think it's because the original demo for this game was Roy Jones Jr. versus Bernard Hopkins.
Bernard Hopkins, yeah, yes. I was going to say.
And I talk about demos that I played the ever-loving shit out of.
Yeah.
I must have spent 5-6 hours playing the demo before the game came out. Legitimately, maybe even more. I was enamored by it. What do you think when you think of Fight Night?
I think of cold compresses.
Oh my God, yes.
It's the first thing I think of. So if you've never played this game, it's exactly what you think it is. It's boxing. It's professional boxing. It's 2 boxers in a ring together that would punch each other, and there's going to be a winner at the end of the thing, except for those rare instances where they're draws.
Yes.
In between rounds.
Like Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder won.
Was that draw?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I totally forgot about that. So in between rounds.
I mean, it wasn't actually, but the judges scored it as one.
There we go. Sure, that's impartial. Is in between rounds, you're your own corner guy. You're your own cut guy too.
Yes.
So you're working on your boxer. You switch characters, and now you're working on you. So cold compress on the cheekbone because it's inflating a little bit, or working
you also
on
got
your
the Q-tip on the cut.
Yeah, with the Vaseline and like things like that. And that was such a big part of it that I'm like, oh God, gotta get to work here. Here we go.
100%. Yeah, in between you could choose whether to work on your cuts or work on your swelling. It was like right up in your boxer's face.
Yes.
And what people may forget about specifically Fight Night Round 3, because you've had Fight Night 4, you've had Fight Night Champion, I think. Yeah. And then I think it's Undisputed, which is coming out after. There's another one that's technically in the works. I haven't heard much about it. But what people don't realize about this one specifically is it was the game that showed off the power of the Xbox 360. It came out in February of 2006. In Canada, I remember it getting delayed week by week for a couple weeks. It was like which I've never seen happen since in a game. The week would come out. It was supposed to come out on the Tuesday. I would call EB Games, GameStop, to a lot of our US listeners, and they would say, sorry, the release date got pushed back another week and another week. And this happened, I think, 2 or 3 weeks in a row. So it was kind of weird. And I can't remember if that means it was meant to come out earlier in February and then it ended up coming out in February and it was the same for Canada and the US, or if it came out a couple of weeks after February 20th in Canada for some strange reason. Released originally on the Xbox 360, PSP, PS2. And in November of the same year ended up coming out for the PS3, which I completely forgot about. Which platform did you play this one on?
I would have played it on Xbox.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember specifically about those cut scenes, like interstitials in between the rounds, that the reason I brought up the graphical fidelity of the game was because it was like front and center with the boxer's face. And like up to this point, facial mapping in games was not great.
Right.
But this was basically them being like, you want to see how good this is? Look how close you can get to this face and look how realistic this looks. It was amazing.
And then they turned that face mapping into like the Elephant Man.
Yes.
Because like half of their face is just like blown up.
Yeah, especially for Arturo Gatti, man. That guy
barely had eyes.
Barely.
Is he in the game?
He is in the game.
Oh my God.
He was on the Xbox 360, Oscar De La Hoya is on the cover, same with the PS3 version. On the 6th gen, so if it was regular Xbox or the PlayStation 2 or PSP, it was Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward on the cover.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one thing I remember about this game was them alone. And by the way, I can't remember if I mentioned this, but it was developed and published by EA.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people probably
Makes
already
sense.
know that.
Yeah.
The one of the cool things about it is because it had so many current and past fighters, they would also let you kind of like relive big moments in those fighters' careers. You could do Roy Jones Jr. versus James Toney back when but I mean, one of the shitty things is it was like James Toney is a heavyweight and Roy Jones is a heavyweight, but their fight was when they were a lot lighter than that.
Much
very,
lighter.
very, very different fight.
Yeah.
In the demo that you played, walk me through, if you remember, those first moments of playing it.
The demo?
Yeah, did you
I don't know if I ever played the demo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, but you knew that it was
I knew it was Hopkins versus
okay.
Jones. Yeah.
I think I got the demo. I can't remember if they offered in the Xbox Live Marketplace because it was relatively new around that time, getting demos from there. But I also had a subscription to Official Xbox Magazine, and they would mail out demo discs.
Cool.
So it could have been that as well, or it could have been the demo on Xbox Live Arcade. But man, I remember when I first played that, I was with my cousin. We were in my room and we were playing this game, and we were going out to dinner as a family, like later in the afternoon or something like that. And he and I played a game, and we kind of just like put the controllers down at one point, and we couldn't believe what we were seeing in my mind. And I couldn't remember if this was just me, like rose-colored glasses. This was the best looking video game that I had ever played in my life up to this point. It was the first time that I was like, holy shit, the Xbox 360 is a fucking powerhouse.
Yeah.
I've never seen human characters look as good as this. There's the sweat, the blood, the swelling in the eyes.
Yeah.
They got rid of the heads up display in this game. By default, you could turn it back on, but you were supposed to just use what the fighters looked
physical cues. Yeah.
Right. Their sounds, how slow they're punching to determine what their stamina was like and what their health was like, which was really cool. As a concept in games, removing heads-up displays, are you for it or against it?
For it.
Yeah.
I think it's just the natural thing that I think that's where video games will go eventually. I think it just takes a long time. That you should be more immersed into video games. And that's what video games are doing in a large part, is putting you in them. And those are the things that remove you from them. Now, people will say, now that's the medium. Like, that's okay. You don't have to think that
the medium
real.
is the message.
Right.
Marshall McLuhan.
Yes. Very good Canadian. But it's that I don't know. How do you feel about this? I think it's like, if to be immersed in it, you need to remove it. But some people are okay with it because they're like, that is the medium.
Yeah. I think that was like around 2006, like mid 2000s. That was the predominant mentality, was let's get the heads up displays out of the game. Technology has gotten better.
Yeah.
But heads up displays have become more prominent than they were not only in 2005, 2006, but maybe even prior to it. It's like more information is almost better. And I'm kind of on board with that.
Okay.
We tried to do the non-heads up display. Certain games did a really cool, did some cool experiments with it, like Dead Space, where your health bar is on the back of Isaac's armor.
Yeah.
And you could see kind of like your item screen as like a holographic projection. Like there was no heads up display. Kind of cool idea. But I think ultimately that comes at the inconvenience of having to further scrutinize the gameplay area. Whereas like when you're playing Overwatch, a bright white explanation of what your whether you have certain abilities on off cooldown or something catches my eye more than if I had to pay attention to subtle cues on the player. And I think that only kind of limits the amount of information flow from the game to me. It slows it down. So I think I'm kind of okay moving away from heads up displays.
I think the idea is like, if you want it to be realistic and you're like, it's the most realistic shooter, it's like, well, yeah, then you can't see how many bullets it is in the bottom right corner.
Right.
But if you're okay with saying like, I want the game to be good and fun, You know, like I'm okay with that.
As long as maybe there's room for both. I think as long as you balance the game around not having it and design the game around not having it, so that you can't just turn it on in the menus and then therefore the developers have to
do both.
Balance the game around the fact that you could know it. But like, you know, in a survival game, if you didn't know if you had 2 or 3 bullets left and you shoot, then you have to change the way that the enemy comes at you, because, you know, it's got to be a little bit more forgiving on you for getting bullets, and compared to if you could just like reload at any time or know exactly what your bullet count is. So I think there's room for both. But in a game like Fight Night, I wonder if after you and I playing so many sports games for so long have gotten more used to things like heads-up displays, are we going to be able to play with that off?
Yeah, I don't know. I remember it without the heads-up display though. Like I remember because your fighter just kind of like shoulders go down and like you could see their like face starting to droop a little and stuff like that. So
that was also just the paralysis of having too many punches in the face.
Yeah, it was active CT taking over their body.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's like the doctors are always like, you know, we can't diagnose CT until after the players. Oh, except for you, Arturo Gotti. Yeah. You definitely have it. You
what's 100%. Wrong with him? It's like lots. Rest in peace.
Yeah, killed by his girlfriend, I think was the story.
Yeah, that's a bit. I don't think it was ever. Well, is that what happened?
I heard it was. I can't remember. It was a long time ago whether it was actually proven or not, but that was the suspected cause of death.
Yes, right.
Yeah. She said he commits suicide by stabbing himself in the chair or something like it was.
Oh, like, I thought he was found hung or something like that.
Yeah, it may have been. Well, yeah. I mean, he was. He had penis 2 uncut.
Yeah,
from Cyberpunk.
Packing heat, not even just in his fists.
Yeah. By the way, if you're a non-boxing fan and you want to go out and watch some good fights, the trilogy between Mickey Ward and Arturo Gotti, it's hardly boxing, but it is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's great tension. It's great drama. And Mickey Ward is the subject of The Fighter, the Christian Bale movie. So, or the Mark Wahlberg movie, I should say. But yeah. So
as we mentioned all the platforms in the year that it came out, the earlier version of this game was Fight Night, which came out in 2004. Roy Jones was on the cover of that game, and that was the rebranded franchise Knockout Kings, also an EA franchise. And a lot of people don't realize that it was basically the same team or same assets that EA had put into Knockout Kings were put into this game, and they were rebranded as Fight Night. After Fight Night Round 3, you got Round 4 in 2009, which was the one featuring Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali on the cover. Mike Tyson absent from Fight Night Round 3, but still featuring quite a large number of fighters in this game. There's 27 of them.
Oh, wow.
Can we go through some of the fighters
I would
here?
love to.
Won't take us too long. Marco Barrera, Diego Corrales, Eric Morales, and keep in mind some of these are in multiple weight classes as they were in real life. Manny Pacquiao, a much less well-known Manny Pacquiao at the time that he was in this game. Roberto Duran, Arturo Gotti, Juan Lezcano, Vicente Escobaldo, Jesus Chavez, Ricky Hatton, Ray Leonard, Ray Robinson, Mickey Ward, Bernard Hopkins, Jake LaMotta, which is a cool addition along the lines of Ray Robinson as well. Jermaine Taylor, Winky Wright, Oscar De La Hoya, Marvin Hagler, Evander Holyfield, Jeff Lacey, James Toney, Ray Moe, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, Calvin Brock, and Floyd Patterson.
Wow.
A great lineup.
Yeah, great lineup.
I remember you and I playing Greatest Heavyweights 2 years ago or so, and also being impressed with the iconic legends that they managed to fit into the game as well.
Yeah.
So it's good to see that tradition had been kept, had been brought forward, because, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure Greatest Heavyweights was also an EA game. Can't remember off the top of my head though. We went through some of the differences in terms of the cover art in this game. One of the coolest differences between the 7th gen versions, the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 version, and I totally forgot about this until I went back to do some research on the game, had a first person mode.
Whoa.
Yeah. Which I don't think, a lot of sports franchises were trying first person mode.
Tried.
Did you ever play the Madden first person mode?
I think that was on ESPN, wasn't it?
It could have been. It could have been.
The 2K version?
Yeah, the 2K version.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I forget.
Or it could have been when Madden was trying to do anything to get some market share back from 2K, and eventually just took a corner on the licensing agreement.
Totally. But I do remember that part of football. Like, I was like, whoa, what the hell is this? And it made it really hard.
Really hard. Yeah. Unless it's VR or something where you can kind of look and throw at the same time. But yeah.
Have you seen the highlights of the Madden VR?
I have, yeah.
It's trippy. It's something.
VR is getting there.
Yeah.
Like it's, PlayStation 2 VR came out, or sorry, PlayStation VR came out, PSVR 2 not too long ago as of a recording of this, so like a month ago as of the launch of this episode, and I'm very impressed with it, but it's like $800. Like, it's a very expensive thing.
Yeah.
And I just don't know that the technology is there to basically justify getting a console that's as expensive as the PlayStation 5, more expensive than the PlayStation 5, for something where it's just still kind of a proof of concept.
Right. Yeah. No, totally.
Not as into it. So reception of this game, I'm curious, what do you think out of 100 this would have gotten? Because it was a big game, but I also was curious, like, was this just me remembering it as a great a game as it was?
That's a good question too, because the franchise dies pretty quickly after this. You know what I mean? A couple iterations after it. So like maybe it's not, I'll say 85 to pick down the middle.
Yeah, 86
okay.
For the Xbox 360, the highest of all the consoles, roughly around like an 81 to an 83 on the other consoles. But the Xbox 360, the clear standout, even though the PS3 version came out almost half a year later, the graphics were not quite as good, in spite of the fact that it had the first-person mode. EGM gave it an 8.3, Game Informer gave it a 9, GameSpot gave it an 8.3, IGN gave it an 8.5, and just as a button on how much I was impressed by the overall look and feel, the X button. The X button.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Deus Ex button guy.
Okay. Yeah. No, what? Sorry, what?
No, my chest hurts after making that joke.
I wonder why, eh?
Yeah. I think I heard my dad groan when I made that joke.
Gigi.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
He said,
I fought the Russians for this.
Victor Lucas on Reviews on the Run said that this was the best graphics he'd ever seen in a game in his review. So vindicated. Call me Dashboard Confessional, because I'm vindicated.
I wonder why they didn't like this game though. Like, didn't get higher, didn't get average 90s or something like that.
It may just be that there's a difference between technical showcase and replayability, possibly.
I guess so.
But I remember and now we can kind of get into our experiences with the game back when we played it. I remember the career mode being extensive enough. I enjoyed it. I liked the idea you can create a character, and we're going to be playing on my old Xbox 360.
Whoa.
I don't know if I still have the save on it, but if we do, we are absolutely taking a look at what my created character looked like.
100%. Yeah. What Mikey thought. What year is this, 2006?
2006.
Oh my God, 17 years ago. What Mikey thought.
I looked like.
This is what I want to look like.
I remember, though, playing the game and enjoying the career mode. I remember the ability to like take easier fights for less money, harder fights with less time to train for more money. You're limited to the amount of fights that you can have because your character is aging as you go.
Which is crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's existential, and it makes me nervous.
Yeah. It's a lot to put on a kid playing the game.
I wonder if I'm older now than my retired character in the game. Probably close.
I don't know. Boxers can last a very long time.
Yeah, in spite of their best efforts to win, they just keep, or everyone else's best efforts to get them out of the ring. Tommy Hearns was a sad story in that reason.
Yeah. Bernard Hopkins. You could there's a bunch of them. They're like fighting till they're 50.
Yes, exactly. Bernard Hopkins was pretty good in his 50s though. I mean, not him. But he, in terms of longevity, was a pretty impressive fighter. So I liked the career mode. One thing I disliked about it, I don't know if you remember this or not, training in the game would raise, say, strength, for example, but decrease stamina and stuff like that. And I didn't like that. Yeah. It's realistic.
It is. You put on more muscle, you're going to get slower. You're going to put more muscle, you get, less stamina.
Did you play through the career mode in this game?
I did. Yeah, I did. I don't have a ton of memories of it, but I definitely did.
Did you create a character?
Oh yeah. I love creating characters. It's like one of my biggest passions.
100%.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember anything about your created character?
Like I said, this is my cardinal sin. It would have had to look as close to what I thought I looked like at the time.
Right.
Weight, height, the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What about like no accessories in terms of like your hairstyle or your shorts, like any glimmering?
That I was such a pretty boy. Like glitter. I would have had the tails that shake,
tassels,
or the ones that cut up the thighs. Yes, and then coming out like either like gold gloves or something like that. And oh my God, nothing's changed in that right? No. Where I'd be like, that's exactly what I would do now. Yeah.
I think I had a faux hawk.
Cool. Is that what you wanted?
I thought faux hawks were cool as shit back in the day.
It was the time.
It was the time. It was
Ty Pennington.
Ty Pennington. Oh my God.
Try to think of the first guy that I could think of with a faux hawk.
Well, first and best, probably.
100%.
You nailed it, Andrew, with your first attempt.
Yeah. Not like What's the guy's name from Fall Out Boy?
Oh, Pete Wentz?
Pete Wentz, but maybe he didn't even have one. He just had like the hair in his face.
Or is Pete Wentz?
No, that's it. You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
What about
Other good faux hawks? Come on.
Jeremy Renner? Rendog.
Rendog? When did he have one? Oh, he had one in Infinity War.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that might have been a real mohawk though, no, was it?
I think he did eventually, but I think he actually has a faux hawk.
Where do we... Well, now he's got a lot of issues, but where do we split the line of mohawk to faux hawk?
Ooh.
Is it in your heart?
I think you can the line you only know it when you see it.
It's true. It's like pornography. Yeah.
Yes.
Like what the Supreme Court said about pornography. It walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, but you know it's a duck.
Then it's bestiality. Yeah. So I played a shit ton of this game from the demo onwards, and I'm so excited to get back into it. I remember the control scheme where you hold one trigger and that'll kind of like give you your slips and stuff like that, and then you hold the right trigger and that'll be more your blocks. And if you block like exactly where your opponent's punching, then they kind of stagger and it opens you up for a counter punch. I honestly remember this as being one of the best translations of a sport to a controller that I've ever played in my life.
Right.
It was very intuitive and it flowed very well. And I thought it was as close a representation of a sport in a video game as I'd ever played.
Right.
I know you talk about this all the time, how you're like, well, baseball is kind of the best representation. I think you say basketball is also a pretty close one as well.
Yeah, now it is.
Yeah.
I think baseball is the best one just because it is a stop and start game.
Right.
So that's really easy. Golf, I think, is also the other one that's just really easy to transport into video games.
Mechanically, they work, but I think the thing about the needing to know where you're leaning, how you're punching, where you're blocking, and the act of moving the joystick in order to do that. When they first made Fight Night, that's when they like Fight Night, the original one. That's when they first shifted from button presses to a joystick.
Yeah,
and a lot of people resisted it at first. You know, a lot of video game companies were embracing the joystick. Tiger Woods did that. It was like, you know, embracing some new control scheme and experimenting with it. And I thought Fight Nights worked so well. The jab being just like a straight shot out with your joystick, the hook being like an actual like go to the left and up, uppercut back and up. It felt like you were one-to-one with the athlete in a way that I can't remember ever feeling in a video game.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that about Fight Night.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just think it's really tough to do things like this that are fluid. You know what I mean? When you are restricted to, 20 to 30 different movements, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Block left, high, block right, high, and then you just keep going out from there. I think it gets a little tough because it takes away what is the beautiful part of the game.
That's true.
But at the same time, it did a really good impersonation of it.
Yeah, I think so. But you're right. The best parts of boxing are the creativity in like a certain step and slide or something like that, which is absent from this because footwork is not a controllable element of this game apart from back, forward, up, down, like that.
That being said, it's more constricted than something like MMA is.
Where
you could do a lot of things that like the person would never think of.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right,
like like the designer. So, I don't know. But then again, those are all our memories. We're going to have to find out, what it actually looks like now.
We are going to have to find out. So maybe you want to get into our reviews of this game. So as we mentioned at the top of the episode, we're going to each give this game a rating out of 4 bits based on our memory of the game back when we played it. A very subjective review. It's what did little boy Andrew back in 2006 think of this game out of 4 bits? You want to start us off?
Yeah, I'll start you off. I loved this game. I loved Fight Night. I loved boxing. I've loved boxing since I was a kid. And this was a great version of trying to, like, the same reason why I'll still play Madden now. It's like, well, I want to play as Buffalo Bills. I want to see what this team's doing. I want to, whatever. And the same thing as this is like, man, I would have always loved to see James Toney versus, Floyd Patterson or something like that. Like something crazy. And you get to live that out, which is awesome. Now, I've never played it. I haven't played it in a very long time. Now, that's 2 reasons. It was very inaccessible. But also it didn't have a huge demand. Now, is that because the last memories of that soured on this, or did I just not like this game that much in the first place? I am going to venture that I did quite like this game, and it just died out in popularity, and the next subsequent sequels were not that good. So I really love this game. I'm going to choose to remember that I love this game. I'm going to go 3.5 out of 4.
3.5. That's amazing.
I loved this game, so I'm gonna believe that.
I agree with you. I loved this game as well. This game did for me what no other combat sports game has ever done. In my mind, this is the best fighting game I've ever played.
Yeah.
And I'm factoring in Street Fighter. I'm factoring in like any game, Marvel versus Capcom, where there's one opponent versus another opponent.
Yeah.
You can tag people in over the rings, all that. And that's not to belittle something like WCW versus NWO Revenge, which was fantastic. But in terms of the best translation of a combat sport to a controller,
Right.
I'm giving the nod to Fight Night. I burnt myself out on it because I played the ever-loving shit out of it, and I never went to Fight Night Round 4. I would love a new version of this game, and so I'm following the development slightly of the new one. But as far as a release of a game goes and how much I got out of it, I kind of have to give this a 4 out of 4.
Yeah, okay.
It just meant so much to me, and I loved not only the insight into what games could potentially look like, but what they could control like as well. It just broadened my mind in terms of control over one specific character as opposed to an entire team, and how satisfying that could be.
Well, there we go. Wow, 3.5 and a 4, 7 out of 8. That's pretty good.
It's not bad, Andrew.
Not bad at all.
It's not freaking bad, man.
God, I cannot wait to go play this game. So we're going to play this game. It'll
Yes.
be over at youtube.com/RetroGreatPodcast.
100%.
God, that's where you can find out if Mikey's character's on there and what he looks like.
I hope so. The only way you're going to see this glorious faux hawk with a little bit of salt and pepper in the side, because I remember that being an element of the aging process. Go over there to the YouTube and check it out. In 2 shakes of a faux hawk's tail.
Because the hawk part of it?
Hey, D-pads, want to watch this week's gameplay segment where we play a portion of today's game and provide video commentary while doing it? All of our gameplay segments are available for free at youtube.com/TheRetrograde Podcast. Make sure to subscribe and maybe leave us a like and comment while you're there. And while you're here, why not drop us a rating or review on your podcast platform of choice? It only takes you a moment, but it helps us out immensely and lets us know you appreciate us as much as we appreciate you. You can still join us on our Patreon for $5 US per month at patreon.com/TheRetrograde Podcast for monthly bonus episodes such as drafts, spoiler casts, top 10 lists, and take some suggestions from the community, both gaming and non-gaming related. Plus, make sure to follow us on all our social media channels. It's at RetrogradePod on Twitter and TikTok, or at The Retrograde Podcast on Instagram. We're also available on Twitter at Retrograde Mikey and at Retrograde Andy. Finally, reach out to us with any business inquiries or questions and comments you'd like us to read on air at theretrogradepodcast@gmail.com. We'll see you all on the other side.
And welcome back to the Retrograde.
Ding, ding, ding. I should have come out with like a
card.
Yeah, ring the ring people.
Yeah.
They should, if they're gonna have ring girls, every other round they should have a guy in a Speedo come out.
Hot man.
Just a hot man. Jeffrey Dean Morgan comes out.
What? That's amazing. Huh? That's the reference you for hot man. Just gets pelted with beer cans the whole time.
He honestly
round
would.
2, just goom.
One of the boxers has to do it. Sorry, you don't get a break this round.
You flipped a coin. Yeah, like every other round.
You got to do this.
Yeah, 100%.
Well,
look at the smile on your face. So if you didn't watch over at youtube.com/Retrograde Podcast, Mikey beat the shit out of me. Just openly. I was falling to the ground unconscious. He's getting a few more punches in. He was savage about it. I lost so comfortably and handily. It was unbelievable.
It was so what worries me is that that'll taint your opinion on the game.
No, I am a professional.
Okay.
I'm not you. You're the one that's like, I didn't play very well. This game sucks.
Yeah, they usually do when I suck.
This wasn't one of those games.
Okay.
There are some games where you can hear in the gameplay Mikey just going like, oh my God.
The most notable one was Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball, but I gave that one like a 3.5. I rated
Did
that
you?
one,
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, there you go. See, we're professionals
We're
about this.
so-
Don't you worry. Also, what does my score have to do anything about yours?
I wanted to get good ratings because it's just such a fun game. It means so much to me.
It was a fun game, and so if
I love you, Andrew.
I love you, buddy. If you didn't go back and watch it over YouTube, we did find Mikey's characters that were saved.
We did find my saved characters.
Yes, so that was a big relief, and it was great.
And you will. I'm not going to say whether or not I had a faux hawk or whether or not I had a son in the game.
Yeah.
But in order to go find out, you're going to have to go check that out.
In career mode, it's like, sire, a family? And the branches start going down from there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a Rogue Legacy.
Yeah.
Every time you die, you have to take it up as one of your heirs.
Yeah. Or
Michael
Shadow
Aaronworth.
Mortar. Oh, sorry. What did you say?
Michael Aaronworth. Mikey Aaronworth.
Yeah.
Heir.
Oh.
So if we ever did Rogue Legacy, that would just be my name.
There you go.
Can we do that? So
it
can
writes
use that?
itself.
Amazing. And also Shadow of Mordor
Well, the villains keep coming back and like remembering you.
I thought you meant your protagonist.
No,
like, you have sons in that game.
Yeah, what? You didn't play far enough.
I did not. No, I didn't. No, famously in that game, I got to the point where I realized the map expanded and I stopped playing.
Oh, classic. That's a very classic Mikey thing where you're like, oh no, the map's too big. I don't like this.
I spent a long time dominating every corner of this map. I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
Good. Thank you very
This
much.
is my map.
Yeah. So Fight Night Round 3, it felt like what I remembered.
Okay.
And I think I say that as a compliment because I remembered the game feeling great. And I think a lot of the times games age out of good feelings, especially from this era, like mid 2000s. There were some rocky games there. There were some rocky graphics that I think are misremembered as having been good, but weren't. I thought this game looked great.
I thought it looked awesome. I thought it still looked great.
Yeah.
17 years later.
17 years later.
It looks great. It's, like you could, like, it's not as defined as the graphics today, but they're still so good. And they like are very reminiscent of the characters that they're portraying.
Yeah.
Looking at them, like, oh yeah. There you
that's
go.
Morgan Hagler.
Yeah, that's Joe Frazier. Yeah,
that's Joe
100%.
Frazier.
Yeah.
It's Roy Jones. That's Floyd Patterson falling to the canvas.
Floyd Patterson just getting his ass eaten on national television. I embarrassed
back from the dead.
The legacy of Floyd Patterson took a real hit today.
No, but in general, did you find the controls worked? Did they flow as well as you remembered or what?
Yes, they do work. I think I just need more time with them to get the ins and outs. But like generally, you can kind of like putter your way through.
How much time do you? You're going to need a lot of time with these things.
Was that a shot at how poorly I played? It's true. I didn't play very well. Like to get some of the nuances, I felt like I was getting frustrated because I felt like I'm getting leather on skin and I'm not making a lot of damage, but I think that's just part of the nuance of the game. You got to learn the timing, you got to learn blocking, you know what I mean? And fighting out of that, which is where the issue was. Me jabbing you to death wasn't doing any work.
Yeah. It was kind of cool because, I'm sure I knew this back when I was playing the game because I knew enough about boxing to know that being in the corner is a bad place to be in boxing. But we did our first fight. It was Marvin Hagler versus you were Roberto Duran and Hands of Stone. And I was trying. You were being slippery. I was trying to land some powerful shots, and then a couple rounds in, I'm like, wait a second. Why don't I just try to pin him in the corner?
Yeah.
And I did. And the animations change slightly. Your punches get a bit shorter, which means I can open up and go to the body a little bit more. And I was like, right, this is boxing. It has the same rules and follows the same methodology of it. And it feels, this is one of the highest compliments I think you can pay to a sports game. If you play it like the sport, you will do better with some exceptions.
Yep.
Because we were standing in the middle of the ring a lot of the times and just like throwing haymakers at each other.
A lot of uppercuts.
A lot of hooks, this and that. I almost forgot that I had the jab when I was playing as Marvin Hagler.
Yeah.
Also didn't realize I was playing Southpaw for about 4 or 5 rounds. So all of what I thought were jabs were power shots. But all in all, this felt like putting on an old pair of pants.
Yeah.
I really felt good about the way this controlled. It felt familiar. And also, I don't feel like I was giving anything up. I was like, yep, this is kind of exactly what I remember.
Right. Well, yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I thought it did. It felt like boxing.
Yeah.
Like it, for the most part, yeah, there's some sensationalized things and, whatever. And we also we played without the heads up display.
Yeah.
Which I thought was cool.
I thought it was cool. But again, what I'd kind of say is like, at times it was hard to tell just how tired someone was. And you really had to rely on the announcer saying like, oh, he's looking wobbly.
Yeah,
and I'm like, is he looking wobbly or are you just saying that?
Totally. And he's calling out the biggest combos and things like that. Yeah. Like he's telling you when you're making damage, which is interesting.
Which I get that, but I wonder if we wouldn't have been able to play a little bit smarter if we did have the heads up display. Yeah. Because I remember after the first 3 rounds, we were like, I think I'm winning, but
I think we were pretty close on our assessment though.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
But in terms of how much power we had left, I couldn't tell how tired I was or if I was just really slow. But if you see the heads up display and like, oh, your stamina is drained, give it some time, you loser, or something like that. Like I feel like that would have been a little bit more helpful. I kind of would have preferred the heads up display a little bit.
Yeah, interesting too. And the cut man in the corner, doing that work. You're like, okay, cool. It was a little easy, I'll say.
Yes.
Where I was like, oh, I don't remember this being so simple.
Yeah.
It also was a bad precursor of how the fight was going because you had so much work to do and you were kicking the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I guess it's like, I think we said during the gameplay though, it's like you can't do anything for the body, which is where you were making.
True, but I know there are stats in this game that are like swelling and cuts.
Yeah.
And some fighters like Arturo Gatti is very susceptible to swollen eyes.
Yes.
And we know that about him as a fighter, and his eyes would swell up a lot. So you go into the round and I would have like 25% damage on my right eye, and you would have like 5% after getting knocked down two times. And I was like, wow, that doesn't seem fair.
Yeah. I'm going to look great later. I've lost, but I'm still going to look fantastic.
I, as Marvin Hagler, had a film career to go perform in
Not with that broken
Italy.
nose you didn't.
Not with that broken nose. Although, probably in a spaghetti western.
Yeah.
Play a bad villain. I like it.
He's not even going to speak English in it, so it's all good.
That's true. Buongiorno. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know enough Italian to continue this joke.
Okay, yo is I.
Okay. Wow, that was it, eh? Okay, well, I'm glad you stopped us to talk about that.
If you give me more time, I can think about it.
How much more time do you need?
About as much time as it's going to take for you to get better at Fight Night Round 3.
No, Mikey, I, like a noble man I am, will refuse to ever play this game ever again. And then when somebody says Fight Night, I'll be like, what are you talking about? I've never heard of that
I'm
game.
curious, though, like, do you feel any pull? Because I remember when we were talking about this, we were like, shit, do you have your copy of Fight Night? Because I didn't have mine with me. And you're like, no, I don't have it. And I was like, okay, maybe we can go pick up a copy at a used game store or something. And you were like, I'll get it gladly because I'd love to play it again.
Yeah.
Do you still have that desire?
Yes, though, and this is kind of going to get into your review. It is, okay, it's a boxing game, and you box in it.
Yes.
And
And to be clear, you are not putting things into boxes.
No, this isn't a UPS simulator.
This is not a UPS simulator, United Parcel Service.
Yeah.
It's not a FedEx simulator either. The only square in this game is the squared circle.
Yeah, 100%.
Not a cardboard box.
No. Everyone has played the UPS video game. That's maybe one we could talk about in the future.
Yes. Well, actually, we kind of did in Totally Reliable Delivery Service.
That was so fun.
That was so funny.
God, we laughed.
It was one of our first COVID games that we played.
Cool.
Yeah.
They gave us COVID or? Mikey, don't joke.
Well, the delivery service.
I don't want to get it the 9th time or whatever. I hope you got that detector on your cameras. They can see just germs just flying.
Oh,
out of
yeah.
your mouth.
Yeah.
It is a boxing game. You box in it. But it is in that way. The reason I'm not crazy about fighting games because it's about perfection, about small movements and timing. That's not something that I'm very interested in.
Sure.
And it's so funny that I have liked Fight Night for so long because I love boxing.
Right.
And so you're like, oh, this is fun because it's boxing. But when you start playing it like this, you're like, oh, this is very small.
Yes.
And minute. And there's a lot of beauty in that. But could I imagine myself spending all the time to be very, very good at it? I don't know anymore.
So I think I don't like fighting games for the exact same reason. You know, something like Marvel vs. Capcom is fun because at the time it was one of the first chances you had to like A, mix different franchises like that, and B, it was big, similar to like Injustice is, where like you press a couple buttons and something magical happens on screen. I could see myself getting better at those games because of that allure. And similarly, I got better at Fight Night because I first played it because I was enamored by how good it looked.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like the delivery mechanism of the hard to swallow pill, which is like slathering peanut butter on a pill, because I appreciated the game for what it was. I thought it looked great. I thought it sounded great. I thought it was I wanted to play it when like my parents were walking by so they could be like, wow, video games are so different than they used to be. But in the process of playing it a lot, I got pretty good at it because as you progress in the game, it demands more and more of you. And I didn't mind playing it because of all the little breadcrumbs that left me along the way.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And it's still like, it's really hard to compare a game that came out 17 years ago to the games of today. But like, you have Fortnite now. A game that is free and doesn't look as good as this.
No,
you know what I mean?
True. Yeah.
Right? Like the graphics are fine, but it's not trying to be realistic. Right. And inside of this shooting game that is also kind of oddly a building game, not in the version I play, but I play in the no build version.
I feel like most people play no build these days.
No build's so much of a better game.
Yeah.
The building side is broken. nonetheless, the map is gigantic. You can go to 100 different things. You have these challenges and like all these. You have so much stuff going on that if you wanted to find value in it, you could do it. And that is playing to the completely ADD side of the way that we do video games.
It's the TikTok of video games.
100%. Not just one thing. It's like, well, what do you want to do? We can go dance on this island, or we can go, whatever. It's tough to go back to a small nature of this and go like, I could throw in 50 hours of this to this game. To be realistic, probably not, right? Even though I love boxing and love boxing still, it would be tough to imagine yourself trying to do that.
Yeah, and it's funny because even in a fully modern version of this game, a fully realized one, I just think I kind of expect more out of my video games.
Yeah.
Like, could I manage a career mode in this game that is basically just go fight, maybe answer a couple stock questions to a reporter, and then do the training? I don't know. Training mini games do not interest me at all in this game. So I don't know how you would get around that. You would have to have like an overworld and like other things to do or something.
Which sounds awful though.
It kind of does. But that's what I really like about this game is I don't know that you can improve upon it that much.
No.
At its core, the graphics are fantastic. The storyline is all that it can really be, with the exception of maybe your fighter being able to show a little bit more personality and guarantee some wins and getting some arguments and some rivalries and stuff. Back when I played it as a kid, like meta narrative in games was what it was all about for me. If there were a fighter that I lost to in my career, that was my new rival. And in my mind, we were like huge enemies, and I would write this story in my head. My mind doesn't work that way anymore. And I think that if they tried to imbue a story mode with some story like that, like if they tried to tell me who my rival was, I wouldn't be interested in it either. So I think as an island and as almost just like this untouchable pure essence of gaming, this is just came out at the perfect time and will kind of exist in eternity as something that is totally workable and totally worth going back to. Playing this almost makes me worried about what the next fight night will be.
100%, because you just wonder what it can do now. Even when you go play, so I just said earlier in the episode, I'm so excited to play MLB The Show.
Yeah.
Even at least when you're playing that game, you are pitching and you're batting and you're playing defense.
Yeah.
And at least gives you some diversity of playing it. So you're always kind of doing something different. If you went into a night going like, I can't wait to play Fight Night tonight. This is going to be great. I'm going to fight 8 times. I wonder, there's people at home that are like, yeah, that sounds awesome.
100%.
And that's great. Good for you guys. I just wonder if my habits have changed so much that it's not something I'm interested in. Whereas when I was a kid, I was incredibly interested in it.
Yeah, I think the only way it would really work is if you really got invested in the online scene.
Yeah.
Like if yes, you're doing the same thing over again, but it's against real opponents and you're really like playing against the computer. And I think gaming has moved beyond that, but I am not interested in playing a boxing game online. That would stress me the fuck out.
No.
Like it's already playing Overwatch when I make a mistake or something, which is very seldom.
Everyone knows that.
Everybody knows that, especially my teammates and the other team who are not saying we won because of the ratio idiot on your other team. So I don't know that I would want to use online as a reason to play the new Fight Night game either.
No, playing sports games online does stress me out. I just genuinely honestly don't do it anymore, because you play it against the computer and you're like, great, this is a sport I like, here we go. And then you get online and you're like, you play Madden and you're like, the defensive ends are 5 feet out.
Yes.
Why are they doing this? And then they only run the same 6 plays and you're like, is this fun? Like it just feels like we're spamming the game.
They min-max it. They
100%.
basically like there's a meta and they play towards the meta and it's not organic.
Even 2K, which I love playing, nobody misses.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that isn't fun.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Even when they're contested, it's not even like, if they're wide open, I totally understand.
They're just so good at the shot.
And you're like, oh, that's not fun then.
Yeah.
That part horrifies me.
It's the kind of thing that I love about playing real sports is like there isn't really there is a meta. Like right now the meta in the NBA is 3-point shots all the time. The meta in the NFL has turned to like, pushing it on 4th and 1 and not kicking as much and all that stuff, keeping possession. So metas will change, but in gaming it feels like you're cheating the system. You're finding like a technical limitation to allow you to play, whereas in real life it's a little bit different. And I think the online community is always very quick to find out not the most fun way to play, but the most powerful way to play, and that fucking kills it for me. Like the worst example in my opinion is Gears of War. There was a glorious month of that game online when it was like a chess match where everyone used cover and you'd flank and your teammate would like coordinate attacks on the other team and try to get positioning. And then it just became about getting a shotgun, rolling up to someone, sticking a grenade on them and blasting them in the face. And it was like, you've ruined the essence of what this game was supposed to be, and now everyone has to play it your way because it's the dominant way, but it's not the fun way.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's totally fair. So, well, okay. Do you want to get into our scores then?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Of Gears of War Online.
Gears of War Online. So for Fight Night Round 3, in our retro scores, like you gave it 4, you gave it 3.5.
Yes.
Now I'll start here. The score. This is what makes the score so hard in the current day. If this game is the best version of this style of game, if you're going to play a boxing game and this is the best you could possibly get, yet if you're still not interested in it, in the modern day, does it get a 4? Does it get a 4 for being the best version of the thing it can be, even though that thing may be outdated or maybe not be interesting to the user? I don't know. This is where the battle is, because it's like, like there's tons of things that I don't appreciate, and you're like, well, that's the best car of all time, and I'm like, I'll take your word for it. Like, I'm not into cars, so like, you're like, yeah, cool. Sounds
I love
good.
the Ford Pinto.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone loves Ford Pinto, though. I know enough about cars to know that it's the Mona Lisa of cars. It's the Cadillac of cars. So, but at the same time, I don't care. So, like, I'm not gonna ever, pine for that. Man. I don't know what to do. I think I really enjoyed this game. I think it is great. And I think the controls are awesome. And I can't believe how good the graphics still look. And like, none of it felt wildly outdated, even in the interface, even in the commentary, even in the music. Felt like all pretty modern.
Yep.
But I think video games and what we ask of them have surpassed this style a little bit. Yet, I'm going to give it 3.5.
Amazing.
Because I think it's just a really good game. I think the 0.5 is for modern video game culture.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think it's not even modern video game culture in the sense that like we expect more of our games. It's just modern video game culture in the sense that this isn't enough nowadays, or like that. It's not a technical limitation. It's just more of a I don't know that I could play this game as much as I would need to in order to give it a 4. Not because there are better versions of it out there, but just because maybe there isn't such a thing as a perfect boxing game anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe boxing as a sport is much more in tune with playing it actively and physically and in person, because that's when the limitations of like how you're moving and everything and where your feet are and all that comes into play a little bit more. This feels limited. And limited isn't necessarily bad. No, but sometimes it precludes it from being perfect. And I kind of hate to do this because this game was perfect to me as a kid, but I cannot imagine myself sitting here and playing another career mode. I could definitely imagine myself playing a few matches and having an awesome time at it, but I'm going to take my score down from a 4 and give it a 3.5 as well.
Okay.
Even though I'm sure that boxing games don't get much better than this, maybe it's just an issue until someone really innovates with the genre itself.
Well, this is really exciting because that is a pretty good score, all things considered. 14.5 out of 16. Well, that's great. Oh my God, we haven't done this in a long time.
We haven't done this in a long time.
Do you want to give this some awards?
I think we have to give this some awards. So you stay there.
Okay, why?
Because it's my ring entrance.
Oh, okay.
Oh, actually, no, you go first because I'm the champion, so I have to come in last. So you go over to the red carpet first. Yeah,
all right.
And then, you know what?
Let's go.
We'll lift each other's hands.
Okay, good. You're not going to.
You better lift mine.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
I'll see you over there.
Elliot. Wait a second.
Nope.
We got to introduce it first.
Don't yell Elliot's name before the music's done, Andrew.
You got to wake him up.
Get ready, Elliot.
Elliot. You're going to kind of not be on camera for a second.
All right. Well, I'll see you over there at the red carpet.
Elliot.
We've been waiting for it all year. The most glamorous award ceremony of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, the Grady's.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Okay.
It's been a long time.
It has been a long time.
I missed this carpet. This carpet
of
red.
So red. It's so red.
It's so red.
It kind of drives you crazy. It's like those rooms where like there's an absence of sound and it drives people insane.
I too listen to the New York Times Daily podcast.
Oh, was that a recent one?
No, it was like a month or two ago.
Oh yeah. Or the or Venta Black or whatever it is with the blackest of black.
Oh yes.
They've ever seen in their life.
Yeah.
And it drives people insane. Fun. Elliot.
Oh, here he comes. Look, he's dressed in his robe.
Yeah, he's got a robe. He's got the shorts. He's got the gloves on.
What do you think has been better for the robe industry? Okay. Boxing or the Playboy Mansion?
Playboy Mansion.
I think so, right?
Because that's the ones that people, no one like, other than like a niche culture, no one's like, I'm going to wear a boxing robe around the house.
Yeah. No one would.
Do you have a boxing robe that you wear around the house?
How
is it a boxing robe versus a normal robe? What is it made of?
Because it says killer on the back.
Does it?
And it's made of silk.
Oh, see, that's is that comfortable though? Don't you
it
want terry
has
cloth?
a hood as well.
Has a hood?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And every time I wear it, I have to ding a giant bell.
Is that a euphemism or something like that?
No, I have a giant bell in my bedroom. And I have to
Liberty Bell style, or
it's cracked.
It's cracked.
It's cracked.
Oh, Elliot, the gloves are on. You're going to be able to. Don't take those gloves off.
Don't take it off.
That incites a fight. Are you going to be able to open the envelope with the?
Oh, yeah, they're in his envelopes in his mouth. He's spitting them out. That is gross.
God,
that is gross.
disgusting.
Can you, I guess, dry those out and read us the awards that this game won?
Oh my God.
He fits like an old glove compartment.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
And The Field of Childhood Dreams.
If you play it, they will review it fondly.
And the Chevy Silverado Like a Rock, Dwayne Johnson & Johnson, a family company trophy, Hall of Fame trophy.
Another one. DJ Khaled.
DJ Khaled. This game started with Akon, and we're ending off our podcast with DJ Khaled. Wow, 3 fantastic awards for this game.
Great
game.
game.
The fits like an old glove compartment, where the current score is above a 7. Fantastic.
Yep.
The Field of Childhood Dreams, where the retro score is a 7 or higher.
Yep.
Both common awards when they also win the Chevy Silverado Like a Rock, Dwayne Johnson & Johnson, a family company trophy, Hall of Fame trophy.
Amazing.
Where the overall score is over a 14.
14 out of 16 or higher gets us into their Hall of Fame.
The Hall of Fame.
So,
man,
exciting.
It's very exciting. We return. You know what this reminds me of?
What's that?
This reminds me of Georges St. Pierre
How
coming
so?
out of retirement.
Yeah.
One more fight, wins the championship.
It says, I don't want your fucking championship. I'm out of here. Knocks Michael Bisping's fake eye out or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Honestly, this game was something we wanted to do for a very long time, honestly, since the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah.
To do it and also for it to be good again. The best.
Make Fight Night good again.
Make Fight Night good again.
Take that red robe of yours.
Oh, no.
Make it into a hood. I don't know.
No, don't know.
What?
Though the red hat and the hood thing
What?
is just, that's too tight.
I don't understand. No, it doesn't have to be that tight. It can be loose enough to fit over your face, I guess, if you need.
No, you don't put it over your face.
Well, I know you're
idea.
thinking you're concerned you can't see. You just cut these little eye holes
I
in
also
it.
think this is bad.
You do?
Yeah, I do. Because
Okay, fine. It doesn't have to be red. It'll be white.
No, I think that's also a bad idea. Also, how would you ever figure out what's the hierarchy? Okay, fine. I'll give you a wizard. Okay.
Notorious turf.
Stupidest thing of all time.
David
oh, no,
Duke.
wait. I wasn't even thinking that. Oh, that's good. David Duke's favorite game of all time is Hogwarts Legacy. So many wizards.
many wizards.
Yeah.
No, he
Oh,
doesn't like it for that reason.
Yes.
Because he wants to be the only
Yeah,
one.
there's only one. There's a grand wizard, and that's it. Wow, that took a left turn. Right turn. So we played Fight Night Round 3. That was a lot of fun, Mikey.
Yeah.
Oh man. If you have more recommendations for the rest of the year, we've got a couple theme months. We've got some exciting stuff coming up. And I guess we can also say that if you want to go over to the Mushroom Club, patreon.com/retrograde podcast, we're going to be talking about Creed 3, the movie.
Yeah.
Over there once we get a chance to see it.
It's only $5 US per month. There's a ton of content. We've been doing it for years, so
Yes.
you can fill your greedy little pockets with an iPhone, and on that iPhone, you can put songs on it, store your
Probably.
banking information, and download all of our bonus
Those
episodes.
are the 3 things you use your phone.
Exactly.
Not texting.
Exactly. No.
But yeah, please do that. We can talk about Creed 3, a movie that we're really excited for. We've been talking about The Last of Us. We've been doing other stuff, just tons of stuff. So yes, thank you so much for listening. We love every single one of you, and we can't wait to talk to you soon. My name is Andrew Bascom, and with me as always is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself.
The champ, Mikey Ironworth.
That's true. This is the Retrograde Podcast.
Andrew's career over.
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
It's sad because it's true.